The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Joined your channel.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sports Insider. My name is Glenn Spillman, your host, coming to you from down south, Pismo Beach, California, where we are sitting at a comfortable 63 degrees. It was 71 degrees earlier today. Perfect surf weather. It's perfect surf weather right now. You got swells going on about 6 feet. And for those of you who want to come this weekend, it's going to be 78 degrees here in Pismo Beach. And whether I'm going to still be here or not, that is another question. But it's been a fun day today, checking out the sites, checking out the local food. I will say one thing, though. I was in this pub earlier today, and we are literally, I'm sitting in the pub, I look to my right, there's the ocean. I look to my left, there's the waitress. So on the starters, there is calamari. So me being a foodie, I asked, and I said, hey, this might be a stupid question, but I want to know, is your calamari fresh or frozen? You guys aren't going to believe this. We're sitting right next to the freaking beach. I can see the water from where I'm sitting. She comes back to me and says, the calamari is frozen. How freaking stupid and ludicrous is that? So I ordered the fish and chips, and it really wasn't that good. I didn't have too good of a meal at this place. I won't mention their name. I won't bag on them too much, but it was Scotty's Bar. That's all I'm saying. And it was an Irish sports bar, but it sucked. Well, anyway, folks, for those of you who want to follow us on Facebook, go to Armed Radio Group News. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can go to Glenn Spillman or Sports Insider, whichever one that you want to do. And after this show, you've got Betrayal. And for those of you who have an eclectic realm of interests, there is a plethora. Man, I just used a bunch of 50-cent words there. There is a plethora of other shows during the week. You've got, on Tuesdays nights, you got Rock Talk with Amy Chafalo, Ask for Candy with Candace Harper on Mondays at 8 p.m., and these are all Eastern times, I'm telling you guys. You got What's the Story with Maria, Tuesdays at 9 p.m., All You Could Eat with Rob Rosenthal. You've got Night Talk with Joe Rocks and the Coach, Thursday at 10 p.m., and the show right before mine is Pot Talk with Jim and Paul, and I listen to their show every week, and these guys are funny, they're entertaining, and they make me, there's not a week that goes by that they don't make me laugh. And these aren't the only shows that are on the air, folks. There's, like I said, there's a plethora. So go to armedradioglobal.com and you can check it out for yourself. Go up to the top bar and you can either hit shows or artists. If for some reason you missed Sports Insider, you can go to Spreaker.com, type in Sports Insider, and you can listen to all of the shows, no matter when they aired. You can listen to the premiere that was back in the 9th of February, and you can listen to every show. You can download it. If you want to listen to it in your car live, go to tunein.com and search Armed Radio. It's got that little yellow icon with the headphones on it, and check that out. Also, if you guys want to check out my books, go to Amazon.com, Glenn Spillman. I got several books up there. And if you want to call into the show, you can dial 916-420-0697. Again, that is 916 420-0697. We're going to talk a little bit of sports here, and here in about 10, 15 minutes, we're going to be talking to James Kirby, MMA fighter, and we're going to have him on the line. But let's talk a little bit of what's going on, the craziness that's going on, March Madness. Got Oregon almost toppled over Virginia, but Virginia prevailed last night, 53-49. Got Gonzaga that just beat down Florida State, 72-58. Purdue was the upset over Tennessee. A lot of people on their brackets got busted that night. They had a lot of people I know had Tennessee going all the way and winning it all, but too bad, so sad. And you also had number 3 Texas Tech over Michigan, 63-44. Tonight's games, you got LSU 10 points behind Michigan State with 2 minutes 44 seconds left. Michigan State 73-3 over LSU, and you've got shocker, got number 5 Auburn 76 over number 1 North Carolina. That's going to screw up my bracket if Auburn, because I've got 5 brackets, and I think 2 of them I've got North Carolina going and winning it all, and on one of them I've got Duke. So we got about 8 minutes, 8 seconds left in the second, so we'll see if North Carolina can pull it out. If not, that is going to be a shocker right there. Some shockers for some Patriots fans. You got Rob Gronkowski earlier in the week announced his retirement from the NFL. Actually, it was Sunday he announced it. But his agent told another network that he wouldn't be surprised if Gronkowski reconsidered in the future, meaning coming back. And here's a quote from him, and I quote, "Rob is 29 years old. He's still a very young man. It wouldn't shock me if he changed his heart, if he feels great and he decides that he wants to play football." This is coming from Drew Rosenhaus. But this is just me talking. This isn't Rob, and I don't want to create any unnecessary expectations. Rob is a very unique personality. If the team was struggling or they needed him at some point next year, and let's just say hypothetically, Tom Brady gave him the call and said, "Rob, I need you," I wouldn't be shocked if he came back to play a few games, end quote. Well, Rob Gronkowski is injury-ridden. I mean, he's got upper body injuries, lower body injuries, and he keeps injuring the elbow and the shoulder. So, but if anyone would come back, it would be him. But Gronk, he's a cool dude. I'm not a Patriots fan, but Gronkowski has always been a cool dude in my book. I like watching him play, and I like, following him on social media and checking out things. Speaking of social media, if you guys want to text us, tweet us, Instagram us, or Facebook Messenger us on the show, again, it's all you got to do is follow me on Facebook, Glenn Spillman, or on Twitter, Sports Insider, Facebook, Sports Insider. You could instant message on either one of those and ask your sports questions or make comments. Phoenix, pass interference, whether flag or not, can be challenged by coaches and reviewed by officials this upcoming season. All the NFL owners voted Tuesday on a one-year trial basis to include those often controversial penalties in the officiating replay review system. So it can stretch out the game a little bit more and see if these guys are doing their job. Coaches still will have 2 challenges per game, and in the final 2 minutes of the half or fourth quarter, or for all of overtime. The replay official can order a review of offensive or defensive pass interference. The major change is the owners traditionally have been highly reluctant to include penalties in the replay process, and it stemmed from the egregious missed call in the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Saints. So that missed call still is creating a lot of controversy. And so that rule change is going to happen. And we'll see what happens. I'm drinking me some, let's see, I've got mandarin orange and cucumber water here. I guess a lot of us California people, we drink funny foo-foo drinks like this, but when you're at a beach community, they always have some sort of flavored water. So they got me a big pitcher of this cucumber mandarin orange water, and it is delicious. In Honolulu, Hawaii, mixed martial arts fighter pleaded no contest Thursday to a charge of assaulting his wife. Fellow fighter who said he left her with fractured eye socket. Arnold Burton is expected to be sentenced to probation. His wife, Rachel Ostovich, filed for a temporary restraining order in November, alleging her husband punched her in the head, face, and ribs. He punched her after a night out with family, and she fell to the ground, gasped for air, and escaped through a balcony, according to her petition for an order of protection. Man, dude, I mean, I never understand or understood why NFL player, MMA fighter, any of these cats that will go and then beat up on their girlfriends, their wives, anything like that. Whether it's a male to female or male to male or male to female or female to male, it's just uncalled for. Police arrested Bearden on a charge of second-degree attempted murder. Prosecutors later charged him with second-degree assault. You always get these charges that they'll either charge you with a big charge and reduce it, or a bunch of charges and reduce those and get you on one or two. Judge Trish Morikawa told Bearden, 28, he is likely to avoid jail time if he does well in a domestic violence intervention program. Which he responded, I'm going to do well, he told the judge. The maximum sentence is 5 years in prison, and sentencing is scheduled for May 16th. So Bearden said after the hearing that he decided to plead no contest to spare his family from legal battle. He also goes on to say that he and his wife are divorcing. No, duh. I'd freaking divorce you too, brother. But they do have a daughter, which is sad because now the daughter is going to grow up in a split home, and that's going to suck for everybody involved. Dana White isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The UFC president announced Monday that he has agreed to a new 7-year deal to continue running the world's leading mixed martial arts circuit. Shenanigans, more shenanigans. I mean, he's a cool guy and everything, but it just punishes some people more than others. I don't particularly agree with that, but anyway, hey, the Diaz, Nick Diaz smoked a little bit of weed and banned the dude for 3 freaking years. Not cool, but you get people that fail drug tests and they still fight. You get people that we've got Milton from Wisconsin that just tweeted us, says hi. What's up, Milton from Wisconsin? So White has run the UFC since 2001 and saw the promotion add a reality series, The Ultimate Fighter, which I thoroughly enjoyed, along with multiple other shows. And lastly, in MMA, Conor McGregor, once again, we've been talking about this guy for weeks, but once again, UFC star Conor McGregor is under investigation for an alleged sexual assault in his native Ireland. McGregor, 30, was accused of sexually assaulting a woman in December in Dublin and was arrested and released after questioning the next month. He has not been formally charged with the crime, and the investigation is ongoing. UFC officials did not immediately respond to McGregor's request for comment, and this report comes less than 24 hours after McGregor announced his sudden retirement from mixed martial arts. That kind of says, all over it. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? This it happened in South Dublin, west of Crumlin neighborhood where McGregor grew up. The Irish media have reported on the case for months, but are barred by law for naming the suspect in the sexual assault cases before conviction. So according to the report, Irish police are not saying whether McGregor is the suspect of the investigation at this time, and I quote, "This story has been circulating for some time, and it is unclear why it is being reported now," end quote. That is a spokesperson for McGregor, Karen Kessler. So the assumption that the McGregor retirement announcement is related to this rumor is absolutely false, according to her. But again, it makes you kind of go, huh. The allegations come out, and then you get him retiring from MMA. Very interesting. Let's check back to the North Carolina game. 68-81, Auburn over North Carolina, and it doesn't look like North Carolina, if they don't step up, they're 13 points behind, and doesn't look like that they're going to come back and win this game. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and give our guests, James Kirby, a call here in a minute. I am going to, I'll give it a couple minutes before we talk to James Kirby and get his MMA. It's going to be a interesting talk, to say the least, because this gentleman I've interviewed him before on one other instance, and he's a very cool cat. Interviewed him in person in Manteca, California. It's probably been about 3 years ago now. But I mean, he's got a lot of things going on in his life, and we will find out in just a second. So let's go ahead and give old James a call, shall we? We can get this phone.
Hello?
James.
Yeah.
Lynn Spillman, Sports Insider. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. How's your day going?
Pretty good. Just getting ready to get going to work
after this interview. Right on, man. Well, hey, you are on air. We got a lot of people listening all around the world, man. And so, what's been going on in your life since the last time that I interviewed you?
Just pretty much of the same stuff, except trying to step up my training regimen and get more fitter so I can come back out into fighting.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. You know, I mean, if you go and look up your fight history on some of the more current, if you will, some sites or whatnot, they don't have everything that you've done. But I mean, we talked the other day, and not only do you do MMA, but just boxing as well. But your MMA right now on Sheer Dog is 0-2. We've got the fight with Justin Willis, TKO, first round. And that was that Global Knockout, the return. And also Mauricio Blanco, 55 seconds TKO at the Dragon House 24. So when you come out and you're a fighter, and your goal, obviously, is to win every time you go into that octagon. Let's talk about these fights and what happened with this start.
Well, the first fight, it started going a little bit good. We were both going back and forth and stuff like that for like a Well, let's just say Justin Willis, I have a lot of respect for him. He is a wrestler. And that was his biggest strength against me. Because right after just those few seconds that we were fighting at each other, he ended up being able to take me down. And I would pretty much have gone him from there. So that's out of all honesty on that one.
Right.
But other than that, now he's a UFC fighter, so I have a lot of respect for him. But one of these days, I want to come back and rematch him just to see how I can do this time, where I'm more prepared. And the second fight at Dragon House, Mauricio Blanco, he's let's just say half a foot taller than me,
Okay.
as far as I know. And he has a greater reach than me, and he does have a lot of power. Other than that, I do feel that fight may have stopped a little too soon. While, yes, he did knock me down, however, I was still trying to punch him from the ground up.
Right.
And, but the referee kind of, just saw me get knocked down. Maybe he saw something I didn't see or didn't know because the adrenaline. But I still think that fight may have been stopped a little too soon, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to go with the flow on that one and try to come back with him as well. And that's about it on that one. I really can't really say much because I didn't win those fights.
Right.
So I mean, it's the ref decision to stop it. So it is what it is on both fights, and I do have a lot of respect for both fighters and their careers after that.
Right. So let's talk about your boxing career and your boxing record. So let's talk from the jump from the octagon to the square circle. What do you got to say about those fights?
Pretty much almost the same. All in all of my fights are pretty humbling to me. So even though I don't really want to go back on them, but as in redo it, I just want to move on from there and get better, use it as a learning experience.
Right.
However, my record for that is 0-2 as well, unfortunately.
Right.
So technically, I've lost pretty much every legal fight that I've been in.
All right. We've got a question from Milton from Wisconsin. The question that they have for you is, what is the most challenging obstacles you have overcome in your career?
To be honest, the most challenging is staying fit and staying in tip-top shape as much as I can to be able to fight in there. And the second thing is being able to have enough courage to get in there in front of thousands of people.
Right. So let's talk about that, staying fit. What are you currently walking around at?
Right now, a month and a half ago, I was walking around at 320.
320?
Unfortunately.
Okay. And
right now, go ahead.
What do you attribute to, do you concentrate more on weights? Do you concentrate more on cardio? When you're in the gym, what is the one thing that you concentrate on the most?
I'd like to do a little more cardio, but I mostly concentrate not on muscle building, but strength building.
Okay. All right.
Because when I do drop all the weight that currently I've lost about 20-something pounds, so I'm actually around 300 or less.
Okay.
But while I'm at it, I'd like to get my strength up. That way, when I do drop the weight and be able to fight again, I have a lot more strength than I did have. So I'm more focused on strength and power workouts.
Okay, so how easy was it for you to drop that 20 pounds?
Out of all honesty, it took about a month and a half. It's not very easy. I've been trying left and right, dieting, intermittent fasting, keto diet. But out of all honesty, I think it's just pausing the carb intake after somewhere around 3 o'clock p.m. and then getting a workout right after that. A lot of bleachers and running miles and stuff was
Well, you mentioned keto in your answer. Let's talk a little about keto. How long did you do keto, and did it work for you? Number one, and number two, did you like being on the keto diet?
Well, when I first started it, I did have to kind of go through what they call the keto flu.
Yeah.
Because of all the sugar that you've been eating, your body ends up wanting it even more. And so, yeah, you get a lot of headaches, you get lethargic, you don't want to work out, you just want to sleep, you get irritable. However, I learned something called the carb cycling for the keto, and that's what's working for me right now. Where during the week, Monday through Friday, I eat straight keto. And on the weekends, I do a carb repeat. It's kind of like a cheat meal, but it's not necessarily a cheat meal. You still have to eat healthy. You can't eat too much. Otherwise, you just end up, you'll make yourself sick pretty much.
Right.
So far, yeah.
So for a cheat meal, what is your favorite thing to eat for a cheat meal?
Well, in Italian descendant, pretty much pizza and pasta.
There you go. You can't go wrong with pizza and pasta, man. Now, when it comes to pizza, what kind of pizza do you like to have? Do you like to have traditional? Do you like to have New York style, Sicilian style, deep dish? What do you like?
I actually like the deep dish, but like on the top of it, I like to have nothing but veggies, and on the bottom of it, in the inside, nothing but meat. So technically, it's still very greasy.
Wow. That sounds delicious. That sounds delicious, man. So, what are you doing right now as far as your workout regime presently? And well, first off, what weight do you want to get down to?
I want to be walking around at somewhere around 270-ish, and that way I can fluctuate from losing 5 pounds every time before I fight next.
Okay. Abby from Rhode Island asks, are there any dangerous diets you did or things that you just are not for you?
There are probably more than over 100 diets out there, if not thousands. But one of the most dangerous diets to me is any kind of diet that you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
Like such as fasting. There's such thing as dry fasting. There's such thing as wet fasting, where you drink nothing but water and stuff. And too much of a good thing can be bad. Eating too little of a good thing that you need can be bad. It fluctuates on what you do. It mainly focuses on what you know how to do.
Right. So how often? Go ahead.
That's why there's a lot of recommendation to make sure you talk to your doctors and make sure you talk to someone who knows what they're doing and research a lot before you do try something.
Okay. What currently? How many days a week are you going to the gym?
I'm actually working out somewhere around 5 to 6 days a week.
Oh, right on. Right on.
Yeah, but like 2 days I do mostly power. The other 2 days I do mostly strength, and in between that I like to do circuits and stuff, strength circuits,
right,
where I can actually do more of a HIIT exercise.
So, in the gym, what is your best lift? Whether it's bench press, arm curl, leg press, what's your best lift?
Bench is honestly my strongest lift. I mean, I'm lifting well over into the 400 pounds now. Squat is right behind that.
So
those are my, yeah.
What do you do for punch power? Because when you hit somebody, you want to hit through them. So what kind of exercises do you use for punch power?
There are push-ups that I like to do. The ground.
Right.
And the other thing that I do love to do is a lot of push presses at explosive speed. And there's a type of exercise where you use one end of a barbell and you throw it up above your head.
Okay.
And you try to put as much weight on that.
Oh, right on. Right on. Now, when you get back to fighting, Do you want to go back to the octagon first, or do you want to go back to boxing first? What do you think would be the best bet transition for you?
Out of all honesty, I'm a stand-up fighter, so boxing probably might be the best way to go for me. However, there's not a lot of heavyweights out there that I am able to fight because, I don't have the record for it. But the octagon might be the best place to go because I do have offers to fight a lot in the cage.
Right.
And Dragon House is even expecting me to come back as well.
Oh, right on. Doug from Kansas asks, are there any fighters living or dead that you wish you could fight, and why?
Besides wanting to rematch my last opponent, Brock Lesnar is one of the ones that I've always loved to be able to stand up with because, going from a super heavyweight to a super heavyweight, me and him, like, if I can get my punching power and my technique back good enough for it, me and him would be probably a good fight in my eyes.
Right. Yeah, I saw.
I have to get ready for that.
The last fight I saw him was with Mike Hunt, and it was a lot of ground. They were on the ground most of the fights, but what would your strategy be against Brock Lesnar?
I'm not sure about that one. It's just being able to. I just like the fact that his strength is the wrestling and my strength is to stand up. I feel that having the opposite go against the opposite might be best.
Yeah, I always like to see ground guys go against stand-up guys, and I always think personally that the stand-up guy will win the fight because that's just to me that's just where it is. The stand-up. I mean, yes, you can get a guy on the ground. Yes, you can get him into a submission. You can do some ground and pound. But I really think that a lot of the damage is stand-up. Personally.
Yeah.
Personally. Now, being so off a fight subject, but being so that we are in March Madness, do you follow the NCAA tournament at all?
I haven't really had much time to follow that, to be honest.
Oh, okay. I was just curious to see if you did a bracket or not, but so that answers my question. Do you have an agent or a guy that takes care of all your fight stuff, or do you do that yourself?
I actually have a coach and manager and a very good friend of mine do it. His name's Derek Williams.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Me and him go back a couple years.
Yeah, didn't Derek fight Blake McKernan about 3 years ago here in Sacramento?
Yeah, his last fight was at the Thunder Valley Casino.
Okay. Now, what do you see yourself, say, you said you want to get down, 265?
Around 265, 270-ish.
How long do you think it'll take you to reach that goal?
Well, I'm hoping once I bump up the intensity of my workouts, hopefully by midsummer, somewhere around July-ish, August. That would be the best, in my opinion. That's my goal, actually.
Right. So, what would some of the a piece of advice that you would give a fighter that maybe starts out 0-2, or even 0-3, whether they're a boxer or an MMA fighter? What piece of advice would you give that fighter? Because a lot of guys that do something like that, they might just walk away and be like, you know what, obviously this isn't for me. What piece of advice would you give those fighters?
Well, for one, it's making sure you don't give up. If that's what you want to set your sight on, don't give up.
Right.
Like, a lot of people do walk away from it. A lot of people, do give up on it. But, sometimes you have to give up. But other than that, I don't think that's the case. Don't give up. And you're not always going to win. You're going to lose some.
Right.
And there could be chances that you lose up to maybe 7 fights before you end up starting to win. It's and that's normally the case because you jumped in too quick. make sure you're absolutely ready before you do jump in.
Right. What are some of the things that if I notice on your social media, if I remember correctly, were you trying to get into some football shape to try out for football recently?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I recently got invited to a CFL tryout in the Canadian Football League. However, I just wasn't fit enough to make the cut out there. However, I did get noticed, and I'm just on a goal to become a multi-sport professional athlete, not just be a pro fighter. I'm trying to do everything before I end up retiring and my body can't take it anymore.
Right.
But currently, I'm waiting on a scout to call me for a tryout for the XFL. And right now, I'm currently practicing with the Sacramento Spartans, a new arena team.
Right.
And they haven't yet built the final roster, so we're just going from there. And yeah.
What position were you trying out for?
Defensive nose guard.
Okay.
That is my best position. Yeah, I've had a couple years of football experience before I did get into fighting, and I have been playing semi-pro until I ended up being able to play for professional. And I found out after going to Modesto Junior College before I went pro that nose guard was my pretty much best position. My handwork in that. I'm not super fast, but I'm fast enough to chase down the quarterback after that.
Right. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that that's where I stand at it now.
Okay. We've got Howard from Utah asked, what do you think of the McGregor controversy?
The McGregor controversy, he needs to keep fighting. He's actually doing pretty good until he ended up getting too hot of a head.
Right.
But everybody loves a cocky fighter, but yet I do have respect at the fact that he does back it up.
Yeah.
But if I'm correct, I heard rumor of him retiring.
Yes.
And I don't think that should happen yet. He's not ready to retire, in my opinion.
Do you think that has anything to do with the alleged sexual assault accusations going around?
It could be. There have been other professional athletes in the past that gave up everything because of that.
Yeah.
But it could be.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, because his past couple fights that he's been in the octagon, he's lost. Would you like to see a third fight between him and Nate Diaz?
Actually, I do. I think that's one of his greatest nemesis, to be honest. Nate Diaz he's also a cocky fighter, but he's one of those fighters that barely ever back down, or if not at all.
Right.
And I believe Nate won the last fight, the second fight they had, but I really think a third fight might figure it all out for everybody on who's the best fighter between those two.
Do you think that on the show after that fight, I said I personally feel that some of the judges were told, hey, if it goes to a decision, lean it towards McGregor's way because we want to get this trifecta in one day, whether it's a year, 6 months, or 2 years down the road, we want to have a third fight and make it absolutely. I think if they have a third fight, that will be the biggest fight in UFC history, personally.
I think it would be. However, I don't agree with the judge's decision, but it is what it is in a lot of fighting industries. But, yeah, I actually agree with your opinion on that one.
So what do you think about, I ask a lot of fighters this question. Well, actually, every fighter I ask this question. What do you think about, leaving it in the hands of the judges? What are your thoughts and pros and cons on that?
I don't personally like leaving it in the judges' hands because it is almost always hardly ever going to go winning fighters' way. I mean, it has to do with popularity a lot, to be honest.
Right.
Like McGregor, again, like Nick Diaz and McGregor, it leaned towards McGregor in the end. Leaving it in the hand of the judges, the way I was trained and stuff like that, is never leave it in the hands of the judges because it's never going to go your way, especially if you're an underdog. It's never going to go your way.
Right. So, what advice would you give young kids that want to be MMA fighters? We're talking like 10 years old to 15, 16-year-old kids.
Well, to be honest, that's actually a great thing. But make sure you learn the discipline first. Learn to be able to protect yourself, of course. Learn to be able to take a loss and a win. Never be cocky. And to keep training for your goal no matter what.
Right.
Don't give up.
Right. So, what are some of the fighters that the up and coming fighters that are on like the early prelims? What are some of the fighters that you think will soon be headlining in the UFC?
Well, to be honest, out of respect to my opponent and based on his statuses so far, is Justin Willis, my last opponent. He's actually doing good in the UFC, and I think one day he'll actually go to the headline. And hopefully I'll meet him up there one day.
Right. So what would you do different in this, if you got to fight him again, what would you do different in that fight that you didn't do in the first fight?
Never be taken down. And if I am taken down, make sure I train more to get him off me.
Right. So, do you think that you can now? Are you training more now to defend the takedown, or do you just rely on your stand-up game?
Out of all honesty, unfortunately, I do rely a lot on my stand-up game because that's what my strength is.
Right.
I do have a lot of power in my hands. I have speed in my hands, even though I'm a heavyweight. However, I do need to train more on the ground game, a lot more. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And that's an unfortunate fact.
Right. So, when you train, cardio-wise, say 3-minute rounds, do you train for like 4, 5, 6 rounds, or do you just train hard for those 3 minutes for the 3 rounds?
Based on the way my coach has taught me, Derek Williams, is, to be honest, train as if you're already in a championship fight. Never just go for those 3 rounds. Always go for, like, if you're training for a boxing match and you got 4 rounds, train for 8 rounds. If you have 3 rounds, train for 6 rounds. If you got 5 rounds, train for 10 rounds.
Right on.
Always do double than what you're doing. That way you can get used to it.
Right on.
And it'll be nothing for you in the end.
That's cool, man. That's how I like to see people train. I like to see them, double what they're training for. So, how can people follow you on social media?
Well, they can look up my Instagram, which is BigCurve94, and you can also look me up on Facebook, James Kirby at facebook.com/james.kirby.94, and those are the only 2 social medias I have as of right now.
Okay. So, is there any last-minute advice or information that you want to let folks know about?
Not always. It's always going to be the same with me. Be humble, be consistent, and never give up. That's the main 3 things that I like to say.
All right. So, when can we see you back in the ring, brother? Give us a estimated date.
I'm looking for August.
August? And
yeah.
which promotion company are you going to be fighting with? Do you know yet?
I do not know as of yet, but if I am able to come in sooner than that, I will hopefully be fighting for Dragon House in July.
Right. All right. Well, we'll keep us updated on that, brother, and I'll let people know how they can go see you fight. And I really appreciate your time, giving us your time for this interview, man.
Not at all. I appreciate you guys for letting me be on this.
All right, brother. You have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, James Kirby, man, that was such a cool interview. I mean, I told you guys this guy was a cool cat. Be humble, man. Be humble, and that's exactly what he was. You know what? Bracket busters, ladies and gentlemen. Bracket busters, brother. North Carolina, number 1, loses to number 5 Auburn, 97-80. So, they didn't just lose. They lost handedly. And, of course, Michigan State beats LSU 80-63. And we've got another... we don't have... I thought we had a question. We don't have a question. But let's go over some MLB scores. We had Major League Baseball start up yesterday, man. Good freaking... It's good for my Yankees, man. They're 1-0, and it kind of sucks for you Boston fans. I'm sorry. You guys lost 12-4 to the Mariners, so at least you guys didn't lose at home. You lost in Seattle, but Seattle got 12 runs on 12 hits. Boston had 4 runs on 11 hits. They both had 2 errors. Tonight, you've got final Tampa Bay Rays over the Astros 4-2. Marlins got a new logo, it seems. Pretty cool logo. They're losing to the Rockies 4-1. And then Boston plays Seattle here in about 20 minutes. And you've got my other team, the Dodgers, playing again in about 20 minutes at home. They're 1-0, and they're playing the Diamondbacks. You got Ross Stripling starting for the Dodgers and Robbie Ray starting for Arizona. Again, for those of you who are listening to the show, before mine, you've got Pot Talk. After mine, you've got Betrayal. So stay tuned on Armed Radio and check that out. We had one last question. I don't know if it was for Kirby or for me. Someone asks, I don't know who this is. They just asked a question. What do you think of the Sweet 16? Well, if you're asking me what do I think of the Sweet 16, I think it's pretty freaking sweet. No, I think it sucks. I'd like to see, North Carolina go on to the next round. But hey, you know what? Auburn took down a powerhouse. And I like to see Michigan State win. That's Magic Johnson's old alma mater. I like to see that. Right now, you've got Duke. That game just started. So Virginia Tech's over Duke 7-4. They really need Zion Williamson to step it up and freaking pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. Yep. So he needs to step up his game, and Duke needs to win this game. And then at 7:06 Pacific time, here in about 15 minutes, you've got number 3 Houston taking on number 2 Kentucky. Sweet 16 is always a fun dance to go to. But then for tomorrow, you've got Texas Tech taking on number 1 Gonzaga, and Purdue taking on number... Let's see here, who we got. I would like to see, honestly, I would like to see Purdue take over Virginia, and Texas Tech Raiders over Gonzaga. No, I'd like to see Gonzaga go ahead and go on. So let's look at my bracket, shall we, ladies and gentlemen, to see where I am. Let's see here. I've got two of my brackets are 79%. One of them is 75%. But it's gonna bust because I had North Carolina winning it all. If I had Duke in there, I think I would do a little bit better. Let's talk a little bit more about Conor McGregor and his retirement. I think if he does retire, he will. I think he's kind of dodging a few fights, to be honest with you. I don't think that he's in tip-top shape. I think that he's running from a few people. And I think that that's just, I'm not saying that it has anything to do with the sexual allegations, but I do think it does. But I also think it has to do with him running from fights. I think if he fought, Diaz again, I think he would lose. You fight Khabib again, I think you're going to lose. So, McGregor has lost several fights with tap out and knockout, and I don't think his ego would take it. So, I'm answering a text. Someone asked me who I think is going to go all the way to win, and I think it's going to be Duke. So keep those questions coming. I appreciate everybody, asking questions. Again, Milton from Wisconsin, thanks for chiming in. Abby from Rhode Island, Doug from Kansas, Howard from Utah. I appreciate all you guys, texting in and asking these questions. Again, if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow Armed Radio by Armed Radio Group News on Facebook. Go to my Facebook, Glenn Spillman, and follow me. That's my personal page. Or you could follow Sports Insider. Most of the people that have been asking questions, most of them has been on my personal page. I've had a few from the Sports Insider page and on the Twitter page. Go to armedradioglobal.com and check out all the shows on there. And again, if you miss any show, whether it's my show or any other show, go to Spreaker.com, type in the name of the show, bam, it'll pop up, and then you can listen to all the archive shows at your leisure. You can play when you want, you can pause when you want, and listen to it all. You can download it, listen to it in the gym, on the go, wherever. So it's it on that. I've got someone asks, who's my favorite? Well, I just mentioned on here, who's my favorite baseball? I got two favorite baseball teams. I've got the New York Yankees, and I got the Los Angeles Dodgers. I got the Los Angeles Dodgers because I was born in LA. I was raised in LA, so I've got the Los Angeles Dodgers. I've got the New York Yankees because a lot of my favorite players growing up played for the Yankees. I've always loved Babe Ruth, and I know he started out with the Boston Red Sox, and he went from Boston to the Yankees. I always liked the players growing up. I've been to a couple of baseball camps as a kid, and a lot of the Yankee players were there. So I like the Yankees and the Dodgers. So let me know, guys, if there's any fighters that you want me to interview. Just email me, Glenn at sportsinsideronline.com, or you could text me on my Facebook page and let me know if there's any sports figure you want me to interview, or if there's any subject matter that you want to go over. I try to, answer all the questions that you guys pose to me, and I try to get everything in there. Someone just texted, do you think that the Dodgers will go to the World Series for the third time? Well, I gotta answer this quickly because we're running out of time. It's kind of early in the season to tell, although I would say I would want them to because I'm a Dodger fan, but honestly, if they do get to the World Series, I think they're going to choke, just like they did the past 2 years. So, I would like to see the Yankees go to the World Series because it was 2009 since the last time that they have been to the World Series. So, anyway, that is a quick answer to the question that was posed. We got to go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys have a great evening and a great weekend tomorrow. As you guys know, I am an actor, so I am going to be acting on set tomorrow. So that's why I'm in Pismo Beach. But anyway, everyone have a great evening. Have a beer, have a pint, sit back, relax. We will see you next week. Peace out.
You knock your monkey down.